Hello there, my name is Tran. Welcome to the Nodak Gardener. I live in Zone 4A, so our growing season just started. It's been, about 3 weeks now since I put most of the plants in the garden. So this is the first year that I'm trying to go 100% organic. And with going organic and this wood chip mulching, there are some issues that come up from time to time, and one of them that came up were ants. I had some ant issues about 4 or 5 days ago, and I did a video on that, and I showed you how to make a borax recipe to take care of the ants. And tonight we're going to take a real quick look at it, the ants, um, the ant hill where the colony was, and then we'll do a quick tour to end off the week. So let's head over there and let's take a look. Okay, so about 4 days ago, I showed you this anthill over here by my watermelon plant. So I went ahead and made a second batch and put it in here. Um, let's wait a couple days and come back out here and see what's happening. There should be a dramatic reduction in the number of ants. There was a whole bunch of them, and we did a couple of different I put in a couple different jars with the borax concoction in a video that I had posted previously. So it's been 4 days and I'm not seeing any ants at all. So let's disturb the nest real quick and see if there's anything underneath. Here's a jar with a few ants in there. This jar's got a ton of stuff in there. I don't know why it's turning dark like that, but there's a ton of ants in there. But I'm not seeing anything in the nest at all. So it works. Give it a try if you have ant problems. Okay, let's go take a quick peek at the garden. Today is June 18th and the garden was put in about approximately 3 weeks ago, around the 28th or 29th. Except for a few tomatoes and peppers, which I shouldn't have put in. But anyway, here's if you saw the first video, this is the no name garlic. What it is organic garlic given to a friend of mine, and he grew it organically for about 5 years. And then he gave me 20 bulbs last year. And out of those 20 bulbs, I managed to get 115 plants out of them. This is the first year of trellising for me. This trellis here is made out of cattle panel. There's 2 cattle panels and 4 T-posts. What I have planted underneath them, and hopefully if they do well, they'll take off and the whole trellis will be nice and green. It'll be a nice green arch that we can walk under and pick. Kajari melons, they're doing okay. I thought they'd be doing a little bit better, but they're kind of slow right now. These were started from seeds actually the first week in June, so almost 3 weeks. These here are Asian bitter melons. If you've never heard of them, you should check them out. Look it up on Google them. And the reason I planted them is that I've read that they're really good for diabetics. So we'll see what we get, and we'll give it a shot in the fall here. Mom's got some recipes for them. And on the other side, just 3 more bitter melon plants, which are starting to really take off, starting to climb, as you can see there. And then a few more Kajari melons. If you haven't seen Kajari melons before, you need to look them up. They look pretty cool too. Over here I've got a whole bunch of different things. I've got red cabbage, I've got broccoli, 3 different variety of tomatoes. They're mostly determinate type tomatoes. Kale. I threw in a Cocozelle squash. These are peppers, shishito peppers and pepperoncini. 3 eggplants. All the peppers and the eggplants and the tomatoes were started indoors. Here are some red cabbages. Over here I've got 3 cantaloupe, and they're kind of slow going. It takes a while for them to get acclimated to the soil once you put them in. In this case, this year it took about 2 weeks. And over here I've got buttercup squash, and they're doing pretty good. Okay, and over here at the vertical trellis, the first one here is a sun sugar cherry tomato, and I see we've got a couple tomatoes there. Can't really get it to focus, but anyway, last year I planted one sun gold, which is similar to this sun sugar, but the sun gold has thinner skin, so it tend to split when it got ripe. And that one plant put out, I would guess, about 1,000 cherry tomatoes. So if you're going to plant cherry tomatoes, plant one, unless you're going to sell them or unless you have a huge family, because they kind of make a mess if you don't use them all. They just drop all over the place. This one here is a Beauty King tomato. It's another indeterminate. All my tomatoes along this trellis here are indeterminate. This one here is a Kellogg's Breakfast. I see there are some blossoms on them, so we should be getting some tomatoes pretty soon. This one's a pink tie-dye. There was also another pink tie-dye here, which I pulled out about two and a half weeks ago because we had a frost on May 29th, and it pretty much took care of the tomato plant. This one's a black cherry tomato. I have never planted a black cherry tomato yet, so I thought I'd give it a shot this year. It'll be interesting. I see we got a little tomato there also. Over here was another pink tie-dye that had terrible leaf curl, so I yanked it out today and I put in this Fireworks tomato. It's I think it's a 50 to 60 day tomato plant. It'll produce fruit in 60 days. So that'll be interesting. Pink tie-dye. 2 of them. There was an Amana orange tomato here, and the frost took care of her. So then I put in some carrots, and they're just starting to come up. Beauty King. I'm not sure which this guy is. And these are 2 more Kellogg's Breakfast. Thai basil. Over here is lemongrass. Cocozelle squash, honeyboat squash, 3 of them, jalapeno pepper next to the Russian red kale, purple kale. Here are some sugar baby watermelons that I was having trouble with the ants. The plant looks a heck of a lot better in the last 4 days, and I don't really see any ants anymore. But I'll leave that jar there for a little bit and for a couple more days, and then I'll remulch these plants. Yeah, they look like they're making some progress. Must be getting used to the dirt now. Butternut squash. Another butternut squash. And over here we've got, these are giant Russian garlic, organic garlic that I got. I bought the bulbs online, and I also put these in on the third week of October last year. And I see we've got our first scape here, so I'm guessing in about a month we'll be able to harvest these guys. And I think when we do the harvesting, we'll show you how it's done, the drying and the cleaning and all that good stuff. This area here are all my other bell peppers. The first row here on the right, they're California Wonders. The 2 rows in the middle are yellow bell peppers, and the end row here is a giant, I think it's a giant Chinese red bell pepper. And this guy here, I have no clue what it is. It just grew there. It looked kind of cool, so I'm just going to leave it. Over here are the onion plants. They're sweet onions that I planted, boy, probably the first week in June. I should keep a record of all this, but who has the time to write all this down, huh? Sweet corn. We put these in on the, I think on the 31st, on the 31st of May, and the ground was still pretty cold, so they came up kind of, they didn't all sprout, or they didn't all come up, but we've got plenty here for the family of 3 that we have. These are my Moon and Star watermelons. For the longest time they were doing nothing, but with the heat that we had last week, they're really starting to look good. I love those speckled leaves. So the watermelons that these plants will produce are supposed to be up to like 30 pounds, so they're going to be huge. On the other 2 arch trellises that I have here, we've got some green beans. They're pole beans, so you can see they're starting to climb. And on the second panel of the trellis, I've got cucumbers. They're flowering like crazy already. So cucumbers, I usually sow the seeds in the ground, but this year I got a head start and planted them, or started them indoors. So this is the earliest I will have cucumbers in the 12 years that I've been out here. I think I see. Oh, couple cukes there. I guess I'll be eating cucumbers this weekend. And the beans. Okay, and on the other trellis, I've got noodle beans. They were also started in the ground here. They're doing pretty good. And on the other side, I've got just a couple noodle beans and then a whole bunch of Tigger melons. They're doing pretty good. If you don't know what Tigger melons are, you should look them up. They look pretty cool. Okay, on this small vertical trellis here, we've got 3 more bitter melon plants. We're gonna have bitter melons coming out of our ears. But they're starting to climb. They're doing really well. And to the left, we've got a lemongrass plant. This area here, this whole area that's under straw and hay right now, I haven't planted in here for about 3 years, might be 4. But this year we decided to expand a little bit, so I tilled it up and planted, and then I put down some alfalfa and some mulch. Apparently I didn't mulch enough over by the onions there because we got a bunch of grass coming up. But anyway, cabbages, green cabbages, a purple cabbage. They look like they'll be ready in about 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks. These are, we had a few Kennebec tomatoes or potatoes, so we just threw them in here, and they're doing pretty good. I think I see some blossoms, so they're starting to. These were put in April 22nd. If you've never had Kennebec, they're white potato, and if you've never had them before, they make the best Thanksgiving mashed potatoes. Over here we've got 3 hills of spaghetti squash. I think there were 5 plants in these 3 hills. They're doing really well. I think I've got a little spaghetti squash here. Yep. And over here we've got Norland red potatoes. They came up a little bit funny too. There are some areas where, but Mom planted these, so who knows. Just kidding, Mom, if you're watching. These here are onion sets, cheap onion sets that we bought at Walmart. On the right are the red onions, and then over here are the yellow sweet onions. We're going to see which grow better onions. Onion sets or onion plants that I planted down there. Okay, over here are my 2 compost piles that I'll be spreading pretty quick. After I get some more wood chip on, I'll throw the compost on top. This here is about 30 pounds of organic coffee grounds. A friend of mine brews cold brew coffee. He has a cold brew coffee business. And about every week I get a couple pails from him. A couple 5-gallon pails from him. And that would be it. We'll take a sneak peek over at my wife's flower garden here. We'll take a closer look at them the next time. But this area here was nothing but weeds this early this spring, and she's done a lot of work in clearing out the weeds and laying down some cardboard and wood chips. So it's looking pretty decent. So that's our garden tour for the week. Thank you for spending the time with me today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below in the comment section. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell for notifications of future videos. And thanks again, and we'll see you next week.